So, Windows 10 support ends today. Microsoft has been harassing everyone on Windows 10 to upgrade to 11 for a solid amount of time now. The main problem with that, however, is that they require specific hardware to be present in your PC for their bullshit to work properly. That hardware is the Trusted Platform Module 2.0. So, the Trusted Platform Module, or TPM for short, is some silly shit that theoretically encrypts your computer for safety reasons. Cool. I'm sure that's great for a number of use cases, like business systems and whatnot. However, Windows has in fact made it an explicit point in the past 4 years to absolutely mandate that your system has this very specific hardware to even pass the requirement check. Even if your computer is capable of performing extremely intensive computational tasks, such as full 4K resolution rendering, or even just having more than 2 Chrome tabs open at the same time without crashing. There's been a not insignificant amount of backlash to this arbitrary requirement because there's still a significant amount of systems worldwide that do not have this fuck-ass TPM chip in them and are running just fine. However, Microsoft has clearly decided that compromising millions of systems is completely worth it for their end goals. But what are those end goals, you might ask? If you've ever had the displeasure of actually having to use a Windows 11 PC, or you've just been paying attention, like the smallest amount of attention, to tech news in the past few years, you might have noticed that there are a number of highly advertised features in 11. And the absolute centerpiece of all of these, without a doubt, has to be Microsoft's very own Copilot AI software that they would really like if you used as much as humanly possible. So, I don't know. It's just, just turn it off, I hear some say. And to that I answer, have you ever had that bullshit where Windows was actively pestering you to drop everything you were doing because there's an update? Have you ever attempted to turn off Windows Update on 10? Microsoft has been actively fighting against you to make sure you don't have full control over your system ever since their last fuck up with 8. Just don't use it. Just ignore it. Yeah, okay. Again, Microsoft is making absolutely sure that you cannot have full control of your system. They have been harassing every 10 user with full screen notifications to outright order you to purchase an entirely new computer because they don't like your current one. They are making damn sure that you are painfully aware that support is ending. Buy it now. Consume immediately because they told you. I also keep hearing, oh, why are you so upset? Nobody's holding a gun to your head. Well, yeah, well, not yet they aren't. But AI technology is entirely dependent on scraping your data. Yes, your sensitive data as well. This sensitive data can range from, I don't know, your medical records kept, you scanned your documents, and it's about some kind of embarrassing accident you might have had a few years ago. It could be your fucking Facebook password. By the way, I am just baffled that this company is still around. Who the fuck even still uses Facebook? And it can also be, your online banking information, even your official government documents and access to official governmental business. And I don't know, man, once someone gets access to these things, they might as well hold a gun to your head because they can get your money, your identity, they can put you in prison, you name it, they can do it. Have you ever gone through the installation process for Windows 10? You have to specifically opt out of a ridiculous number of different things during the setup if you want to have any semblance of privacy on your system. You have to manually opt out of ad personalization on your paid software. This has absolutely been set up for a future where user data was worth 100 times its weight in gold. Microsoft saw what Google was doing and decided, we want that. The fact that AI has become the current bullshit the average end user has to put up with may just be a serendipitous coincidence after industrialized data scraping has reached its critical mass, but at this point, I doubt it wasn't planned for in some form or another throughout the entire past decade. Microsoft wants to have complete control over your system. Period. They've been trying their damnedest to make that happen since forever. They tried this all the way back with Internet Explorer when they tried to block you from installing different internet browsers. And then they kind of laid low throughout Windows 98 and XP. And then Vista. They tried the overt approach. The overt approach, it didn't work. So they made 7 to placate the crowd. Then they brought 8 around, and everyone and their grandma's dog hated its sanitized, dumbed down, tiled Windows Store bullshit. And then they made 10 to make it look more like what people were used to, while continuing to work on the Windows Store and setting up their little walled garden ecosystem. Remember UWP? Universal Windows Platform? How hard they pushed to make that real, and how quickly they backpedaled on it after it became clear that it was a monumental flop. Hindsight is 2020, and boy, do I see clearly now. This is Microsoft leveraging their effective monopoly on the desktop market. They gave 10 away to everyone to lull you into a false sense of security while making you dependent on their system. They made access to the system frictionless. They gave you access for free. They updated the system pro bono. They bit the bullet. They ate the monetary loss to set up their racket, and now they are here to collect. If you are in the EU, you theoretically are, by default, eligible for the extended support program that the rest of the world needs to pay for. You might make the mistake of thinking that this means that you get another year to weigh your options, to eye up a new PC, scrounge up some loose change and some pocket lint for the continued privilege of being allowed to play in Microsoft's little shit pit. You might even be fine with installing 11 through Rufus, a software made to create installation media for operating systems, which supposedly has a built-in option that allows you to bypass the arbitrary installation requirements. Keep in mind, though, that this can cause potential system instability, as well as the fact that them microdicks can push an update that can disable this option entirely, or even brick your entire system if they really want to. They just completely eliminated the last tricks to have an offline account on 11 a few days ago. They know exactly what they are doing. They timed it perfectly to the end of official support to make the last holdouts that were somewhat familiar with their options. You know, they knew about some tips, tricks, loopholes, buttholes, and they made them panic. The way I see it, we have exactly 1 year before Windows 10 becomes an explicit security risk. And personally, I am using that year to finally pull the trigger and move to Linux. I've been dicking around with a few different Linux distros, so I have a bit of an idea of what to expect, but that is not even remotely the case for the vast majority of the end users. Linux is scary if you don't have the freedom to fully engage with it. You know, if you have a lived-in system, if your, work demands specific systems or software, or even if you just don't have a spare computer that you're at liberty to break repeatedly for the purpose of learning. So here's what I personally am going to do. I have made minor hardware provisions on my system. I placed my current Windows 10 drive from my built-in motherboard M.2 slot to a PCIe slot with an adapter, and I'm booting Windows off of it. If you want to do something like this, make sure you have the necessary prerequisites to make it work. I don't fully understand it myself. It has something to do with RAID controllers, so it might not be functional on your system. Do your own research. Ask someone qualified, please. I will not take responsibility if you buy something like this and it doesn't work for you. So, after this, I will place a brand new M.2 drive into my motherboard socket, and I will be running Linux off of that. My hope is that I can create a dual boot system, so if I need my desktop just working, I can boot into Windows whenever I need to. You can theoretically do this on a single drive, if that's what you have, but, you know, space constraints are gonna come up eventually. Either way, I will be recording the process of me installing my Linux distribution of choice, in this case, Bazite, and setting up, you know, with the entire system for me to get started with it. And I will upload a video that can hopefully serve as a sort of guide on getting started with Linux. I will try to use Linux as my daily driver and stream on Twitch off of this system as a sort of documentary of my experiences. Not gonna lie, shit's gonna suck. But I'm tired of the bullshit, the constant shitification, you know, always having to pay attention as to like when the thing that I paid for is planning to screw me over, and most importantly, the endless AI peddling. So that's where I'm at right now. Grunk, install Linux for me.